Hi everyone, welcome to the Highlights from Ukraine podcast, your daily audio summary of the latest news reported in the Ukrainian media. My name is Artem, and here is the news. 697 days less the Russian invasion of Ukraine. In an interview with the British Channel 4, President Volodymyr Zelensky has stated that as yet he does not see a necessity for the General Staff to mobilize 500,000 Ukrainians, reports Suspilne. He stressed that the lives are his top priority. Quote, "I haven't seen sufficient evidence to conclude that 500,000 should be mobilized," unquote. Zelensky also reminded that such an action would require more money and that funding doesn't come from Ukraine's partners but the state budget. The president does, however, believe that mobilization is needed in order to replace the soldiers at the front. Earlier, Ukrainian military officials proposed at a meeting of Supreme Commander-in-Chief's staff that an extra 450,000-500,000 men should be mobilized, including in order to allow the mobilization of those who have been serving for a long time. The Ukrainian ground forces noted that troops had left the village and moved to better and more prepared positions. This action does not jeopardize neighboring units. Krakhmalna is a small settlement with a population of 45 people before the start of the large-scale war. The Russian forces destroyed all of its 5 houses, and therefore Ukrainian defenders moved to the defensive lines prepared beforehand. We would really appreciate if you could rate us, ideally with 5 stars, and leave a glowing review in the apps where you are listening to this podcast: Google Podcast, Spotify, Apple Podcast, and others. This really helps more people to find out about the highlights from Ukraine and truth about Russia's invasion. Ukrainian special services conducted a series of attacks against targets on the territory of Russia, reports Ukrainska Pravda. According to the media sources, Defense Intelligence of Ukraine had attacked Russian military facilities in Smolensk, Tula, and Oryol with drones. Russian media and local residents reported a powerful explosion and a fire in Tula's Proletarsky district near the Sheglovsky Val plant. This plant manufactures the Panzer S air defense system. At the same time, the Security Service of Ukraine conducted an attack on a sea oil terminal in the Russian Ust-Luga of Leningrad Oblast near St. Petersburg. The oil terminal in Leningrad Oblast processes fuels, with the majority of it going to the Russian military. The Novatek plant located there had to stop its operations but reported no casualties. Ukraine's Defense Intelligence Chief Kyrylo Budanov said that Ukraine's 2023 counteroffensive was not a catastrophe, even though not everything was fine, reports Novinarnya. In an interview with the Financial Times, Budanov stressed that although the original plans suggested something different, they kept their promise and on multiple occasions operated in the Russian-occupied Crimea. When asked about mobilization, Budanov said, quote, "It is not even conceivable to think that we can do without mobilization," unquote. He added that the shortage of manpower was palpable. Budanov anticipates that Ukraine will continue to be able to contain Putin's forces and has already proven that Russia's supposed military might has turned out to be a soap bubble. He also pointed out that North Korea is Russia's biggest arms supplier now, and it allowed Russia to breathe a little, as without their help the situation would have been catastrophic. Thank you for listening to the Highlights from Ukraine podcast. We're a commercial initiative of just 2 people, and we need your help to grow. Share information about the podcast, rate us in the app, subscribe to our Patreon. With your support, we are getting better. We call on you to demand from governments of your countries to impose the toughest sanctions possible on Russia and its citizens to stop their invasion of Ukraine.